Howdy gamers, let's talk about the runes for Nocturne, jungle, and I suppose mid lane. With mid lane, things become more linear for him, as I think a lot of what your purpose is to one shot, one shot one target versus being more of a carry farm jungler. In the mid lane, you're going to get a lot of farm a lot earlier, and then a huge amount of your utility comes through either being able to solo kill your own lane with the ult or being able to roam to side lanes with the ult. So I think in the mid lane, I think the keystone you should take is Electrocute, as Electrocute is going to be giving you more damage on a single target. Hitting an enemy champion with 3 separate attacks or abilities deals bonus adaptive damage based on your level, and then bonus AD. And then this is on a 25-second cooldown. So not really a laning tool for Nocturne compared to other champions, but more just for the all-in, giving you access to damage that you otherwise wouldn't have. For the secondary runes, since you're laning in the mid lane, Taste of Blood's not that bad, depending on your matchup. If you're playing into a matchup in which the enemy can poke you a lot, Taste of Blood helps you in the earlier stages to survive and scale into level 6 to like level 11-ish. But with Sudden Impact, if you're playing into a freer lane or if you're playing against weaker opponents at lower MMRs, then Sudden Impact's just going to be giving you more damage in general. With Sudden Impact, after you exit stealth, use a dash, leap, blink, teleport. Dealing any damage to a champion grants you 7 lethality and 6 magic penetration for 5 seconds. So every time you use your ult or your flash, you're going to be getting this extra lethality, and then that's going to help you just one-shot a target, which is a lot of what you're looking to do with Nocturne mid. But Taste of Blood is a really useful laning tool. Again, if the enemy champion has like any poke at all, you should be looking to try to take Taste of Blood when you can, as Sudden Impact's like the greedier option, but it also is like the easier option. And then for the third rune, I think you should go with Zombie Ward. You can start Sweeper level 1 on Nocturne mid, and just pay attention, whenever the enemy laner places a ward, you sweep that ward, and now you have that ward, and you also gain bonus attack damage for doing so. And then at all stages of the game, you're looking to push out the mid wave and then roam to a side lane. Having that sweeper is going to give you a reward for pushing out your lane, even if you're not ganking the side lane, because if they've warded at all, then clearing that ward becomes a mini objective for you to build up the bonus AD offered, and then also you place a ward for the duration. So really, really useful rune, and it really synergizes with how Nocturne wants to play out the mid lane. And then for the fourth rune, you have good options in Relentless Hunter or Ultimate Hunter. Ultimate Hunter is really, really, really useful for Nocturne, as you're basically gated by your ultimate. But in a slower game or something, I could see a lot of value out of Relentless Hunter, as getting the extra movement speed out of combat, basically whenever you push out the mid wave, gives you a lot of variance in like where you could show up versus just always going to a side lane and ulting. But in general, Ultimate Hunter's just going to outweigh a lot of that for like most of the time, because just more ults with Nocturne. Do I even have to explain, man? More ults, more utility. Like, that's it. That's it. With Ultimate Hunter 2, it's a bounty hunter rune, so you have to get unique takedowns to get the extra stacks for it, therefore reducing your ultimate cooldown even lower. So with a bounty hunter stack, the unique takedowns is for each individual champion. So you kill the top laner, it's 1. You get a killer assist on the jungler, it's 1. Mid lane, AD, support, etc. And Nocturne can do that. He can gank every single lane, even the jungle, so long that you can see him in ultim. So it is pretty viable for him to have a bounty hunter rune to stack up. For the secondary runes, you have good options in Triumph and Coup de Grace. Coup de Grace giving you 8% more damage to champions below 40% health, and then with Triumph you gain, you restore 12% of your missing health, and grants you additional 20 gold whenever you get a kill or assist. With that, it makes it a lot better for you whenever you're diving on to multiple champions, as once you survive initially, after hopefully one-shotting the target that you're diving onto, then maybe the extra HP makes it so that you can get out or continue just to hit all the targets in front of you. So it has offensive and defensive utility. With Coup de Grace, dealing 8% more damage to champions who are below 40% health helps you finish off targets, especially if the enemy carries have like any peel at all. If they're playing with a like enchanter support or something, you have to deal a lot more damage to actually kill them. You have to get through like a Lulu ult, a shield, a heal, a guardian proc, an airy proc, a barrier. You have to get through a lot more. So even if they're low, you might not be finishing them off because of the like interruptions with the shields and heals. But with Coup de Grace, Since Nocturne's primary damage is through his auto attacks, you effectively always have damage up, and then with Coup de Grace you gain the 8% damage amplification whenever the enemy champion's low. So since your auto attack's always up, you're always having a source of damage to amplify with Coup de Grace, even when the enemy's low, versus being on cooldown and not being able to do so. So Nocturne can use that really well and should look to do so. For the adaptive runes, I think you would go with the attack speed, adaptive force, and then armor or magic resist, depending on your matchup. So if you're playing into Zed, Kiana, Lucian, you'd go for the armor. If you're playing into Orianna, Syndra, Rumble, etc., you'd go for the magic resist. So that's it with Nocturne mid runes. I suppose you could run Lethal Tempo, but I think where you can get so many levels so quickly and so many items so quickly in the mid lane, that you should just be looking to run this, as Lethal Tempo is your better option if you're even in levels or like scaling harder. Nocturne's looking to like take over the game at a very specific moment and be very, very annoying as a winning mid laner. So in the jungle role, I think your better option is Lethal Tempo. You could still run Electrocute. You need to identify, like, depending on the team comps, what your job is as Nocturne. Sometimes it's going to be just to kill one target, whether it be the mid laner or the ADC, or even the support. If the enemy has like a mage support and enchanter support, a lot of what you could be doing as Nocturne support is just killing that champion and then dealing extra damage, or killing another champion is kind of just luxury. And then Electrocute's still going to help you do so, and about the same page would be what you would run for Nocturne in that case. With Lethal Tempo in the jungle, with Lethal Tempo, 1.5 seconds after you damage an enemy champion, you gain 40 to 110 attack speed based on your level, and then for 3 seconds, attacking an enemy champion extends the effect for 6 seconds, and then it's only on a 6-second cooldown. So with Lethal Tempo, it makes it so that even when you're diving onto one target, even if you're not killing them, you gain this attack speed, and then through the bonus AD offered from your Q, you just have access to a lot more damage than you otherwise would. And with that, it lets you dish out more damage than simply bursting one target. And as the jungler, a lot of what you might be doing is just fighting the other jungler or fighting solo lanes. So with Electrocute, it's like a single target keystone. With Lethal Tempo, it could be applied to multiple champions, as you have more auto attacks to play with in the duration of an all-in. So with Lethal Tempo, it puts you in the precision tree, and then your best option, again, is Triumph, restoring your health whenever you get a kill or assist. The utility in that's pretty basic. And then for the third option, you don't really need Legends of Tenacity, as you have a, what do you even call it, a spell shield. So you can just dodge abilities outright. So having something to lessen the effects of CC is lower value compared to the attack speed, as with this build, and then with how you'd be playing out jungle, the attack speed is going to go a lot further. So with Legend Alacrity, you're going to get attack speed that builds up over time. And then with that, it's going to help you clear, and then help you just, again, have more auto attacks whenever you're actually all-inning the enemy. The fourth rune wouldn't change. Coup de Grace would still have that same value. Especially with Lethal Tempo, you would have even more instances to get the 8% damage increase from your auto attacks, because you would have more auto attacks from Lethal Tempo. For the secondary runes, you could run Domination with, again, like Sudden Impact, Ultimate Hunter. You could run Eyeball Collection, Ultimate Hunter. You could run Eyeball Collection, Sudden Impact. Because in the jungle, you would have to identify like who you're fighting, and then like what's going on. I think the utility in something like Sorcery Second is going to outweigh what is offered in Domination, because with Sudden Impact, it's only whenever you're ulting, and with Eyeball Collection or Ultimate Hunter, it's the same thing. Like, you do have lower cooldown reduction on the ult, but with jungle, you're looking to farm, ult, and then farm again, and then by the time you full cleared again, that your ult's probably going to be up anyway. So having it up even just more often isn't as useful in the jungle as it would be mid lane, especially since in the jungle you're not going to be getting as much cooldown reduction, because you're not getting as many items as quickly as you would mid lane. So I think with Sorcery Tree, it's going to give you a lot of utility regardless of the game state, and then like regardless of how things are playing out. With Nimbus Cloak and Water Walking, like, it's really hard to outweigh Nimbus Cloak, especially as a jungler. With Nimbus Cloak, after you cast a summoner spell, you gain bonus movement speed increase that lasts for 2.5 seconds and allows you to pass through units. And with that, your blue, in combination with your blue smite, it's going to help you chase down targets, even if they're flashing away after you ult them. It's going to help you run away from targets. So if they're invading your jungle or you're losing a skirmish, then it's going to help you run away, which Nocturne usually just can't get away. But with Nimbus Cloak, he actually can. You flash away, and then you get the extra movement speed. You can actually get away from a bad fight. And the utility of it, offensive and defensive, is so high versus the little bit of extra damage offered from sudden impact, and then maybe the ult cooldown reduction. And then since you're in the sorcery tree, you would have the options of, I suppose, Transcendence, Absolute Focus, Gathering Storm, and Water Walking. I think in general, Water Walking would give you more value because whenever you are ulting, you're usually ulting lanes, but whenever you're fighting around objectives, Nocturne loses a lot of value because he's either going in 1v5 or he's not really doing anything. So with Water Walking, you gain extra movement speed through the river. It's going to help you in defensive situations where you're looking to kind of play around Scuttle with your solo lanes early. It's also going to help you in offensive situations where you're looking to beat the enemy jungler around Scuttle Crab early. And then whenever Dragon and Baron spawns, then the utility of it isn't that high, but it can help like once a fight starts. With Absolute Focus, you would gain bonus attack damage whenever you're above 70% health, but since you're running lethal tempo, you're not really looking to burst at targets, so having that extra AD isn't really that impactful. With Gathering Storm, it's not bad, as it gives you bonus AD every 10 minutes, but in solo queue, I think the utility that you're going to get from Water Walking is usually going to outweigh that. And then with Transcendence, you have to get to level 10 before you get the 10% cooldown reduction. That's not so bad for Nocturne either, since you're a farming jungler, but it does take you a long time to get to, and that 10% cooldown reduction doesn't necessarily equate to like another Q rotation in the duration of your all-in. So the movement speed really does just outweigh a lot of like damage options that you would have since you're playing Nocturne in the jungle, in my opinion. So yeah, for the shards, it would be attack speed, adaptive force, and armor every single time. Even if you're playing into an AP matchup in the jungle, it's really hard for Nocturne to not run the armor because his first clear is just so weak. So yeah, those are the runes I'd recommend for mid lane and jungle. Again, the variation for jungle with the secondary runes, I think that because sudden impact gives you it does give you extra damage, but because you're looking to hit multiple targets and then also have the extra utility since you are going to be lower level than the solo lanes that you're attacking, I think the extra movement speed and utility from Nimbus Cloak and Water Walking is just going to go a lot further than a little bit of extra damage and having more ults, because you're going to have more meaningful ults from the jungle versus having them more often. And to stack up the Ultimate Hunter, it would take a lot longer. And yeah, to outweigh this utility from Nimbus Cloak, man, it's like the bane of every jungler's runes. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Nocturne runes. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I answer literally all of them. If this video helped you, leaving a like on the video helps me. Just check out my Twitch, man. I don't play Nocturne. Just check it out, man. Just open the website, man. Come on. Links in the description.